Hi everyone, welcome to Thorough Newspaper Analysis. This is a video for the 13th of May 2024. Now let's quickly proceed and have a look at the pointers of discussion for today. So first, in the editorial segment, we have an Indian Express article, which is the latest development in the entire matter of wrestlers' protest and the allegations of sexual harassment that were leveled against the then president of Wrestling Federation of India, Brij Bhushan Singh. So now recently charges have been framed against him. So in light of that, this article, it is titled as Charges Framed Against Brij Bhushan Singh. What does this mean? So essentially here we'll understand what is the meaning or what is, the legal context of saying charges are framed against such and such person. So what does it mean to frame charges? We'll also have a look at some of the charges that have been framed against him. Secondly, we talk about the news updates. And this is going to be followed by the last segment of legal news. So without further ado, let's start with the article. And before we start with the context and, have a look at what has transpired recently in this particular matter, I would like to give you a brief undertone to this matter for those of you who are new and who've not followed our, coverage on this entire matter last year, because we extensively covered it. So see, this is what had happened. There is a federation in our country which looks after the sport of wrestling and the admin and other affairs related to it. So it is the Wrestling Federation of India. The president of the Wrestling Federation of India was Brij Bhushan Singh. He was also an MP. And last year, in the beginning of it, there were certain news items which came to the forefront wherein it was stated that several allegations of sexual abuse, sexual harassment, of criminal intimidation were leveled against the president and his close ally by some of the wrestlers. As a result, three prominent wrestlers of our country, they staged a protest in Delhi. The reason for their protest was they were essentially saying that we've approached the police, we have, told the police about what has happened. The police is under a duty to lodge an FIR, yet they did not lodge an FIR. So this was one of their contentions. Secondly, they were demanding that this person be asked to drop down from his position as the president of the federation. So because there was no action from the concerned authorities and agencies, so there was this protest. Now, a couple of things happened. A committee was constituted by the government in between, and as a result, the protest it started in, I believe, January of last year. Then the protest was halted for some time in March, and a committee was constituted containing P.T. Usha and also Mary Kom, the boxer, legendary boxer of our country. And the committee, it submitted its report, and in the report, one very stark point that came to the forefront was that a lot of sporting agencies and federations in our country, they do not have an internal complaints committee, which is required under the POSH Act. So that committee is essentially a committee which is required to, be framed in any organization, any company, any entity which has 10 plus employees, so that it can, investigate any complaint of sexual harassment at workplace that may be made by an aggrieved woman. So this was the committee that was framed, but the wrestlers, they were not happy with whatever the results of the committee was, or the fact that the report of the committee was not made public. So therefore, they restarted their protest in April last year. And then we saw the protest going on for months. And the matter also reached the Supreme Court in between, wherein the Supreme Court was asked, or the Supreme Court was approached to seek direction to the police to lodge an FIR and start investigation in the matter. So eventually the Supreme Court did issue such, direction. Then eventually the protest came to a halt, but we saw during this protest very sad state of affairs unfolding. So we saw how our wrestlers who are Olympic medalists, they made our country so proud at the global stage, yet they were very mistreated, and we saw how police handled them very badly. So all of this happened, and then this is what the current stage is in this matter. So the police, it lodged an FIR, started investigation. Post the investigation, it submitted its charge sheet. So charge sheet is essentially, we can say it's a police report wherein the police is furnishing its executive opinion, saying that, these are the evidences that we could collect during the investigation against this person, and so is the offense that we believe he has committed. Now, this after the police submitted its charge sheet, cognizance was taken by the concerned magistrate, and now charges have been framed against this person. So from charge framing, the stage of trial starts. So this is the entire context to this matter. And now let's see what has happened. So trial judge in Delhi has framed charges against BJP MP and former Wrestling Federation of India chief, Brij Bhushan Charan Singh. Now, what are the sections or under which the charges have been framed? So first section is section 354. What does it provide for? Section 354 is assault or criminal force to women with intent to outrage her modesty. And secondly, section 354A, which provides for sexual harassment of the IPC. Brij Bhushan Charan Singh, he has been accused of sexual harassment of several wrestlers, women wrestlers, that I've already, explained and talked about the matter. So now let's see what is the framing, what is the concept of framing of charges. See, this is how the trial is proceeded. I'm going to give you a brief undertone to these stages of trial or the stages in which the criminal machinery moves. So we are strictly talking about a police case wherein the cognizance is taken upon a police report. So first of all, the FIR is lodged. Right from there, the investigation starts, and the police then submits a police report. Either it's a closure report or it's a charge sheet. In closure report, they say that, we do not find any substance in the allegation against the accused, so we feel that he's not committed an offense. But when a charge sheet is filed, they say that, there is material to believe that he has committed an offense. So the police files the police report. Now, from filing of police report, then the matter is before the magistrate. The magistrate takes cognizance on the matter. Cognizance is when the magistrate applies his judicial mind, and right from the stage of cognizance, inquiry stage starts. So before the inquiry, we had the stage of investigation. Now the inquiry stage, it starts, and it goes up to the framing of charge. So from the moment charges are framed, trial starts. So charge framing, it's a part of the stage of trial. And once the trial stage starts, then we see all of these processes, which is what? That, witnesses are examined in chief, then there's cross-examination, re-examination, all of that. Then there's, argument of both the parties, and all of these things happen. And eventually the person is either found to be, guilty, and once he's found guilty, then he's convicted, and then sentence is drawn upon him. So now let's see what is the concept of framing of charge. So before police register an FIR and conduct an investigation, they file a charge sheet in the trial court detailing the offences which are allegedly committed and the evidence which is collected by the police during this entire stage of investigation. The police filed a 1,500-page long charge sheet on 15th of June last year, charging Bhushan with sections 354, which we saw outraging the modesty of the woman, then section 354A, which is sexual harassment, and section 354D, which provides for stalking. The trial court in Delhi, it has framed charges under IPC section 354 and 354A against Bhushan, while noting that the trial court has found sufficient material to frame charges for the offense of criminal intimidation in the allegation of two of the complainants. Now let's see what is the framing of charge. What is the concept? See, the framing of charge, it means that the trial judge has found a prima facie case against the accused based on the material which is before the court in the form of the charge sheet. Now, this is not a determination of whether this accused person has, committed the offense which is alleged against him. It is only an acknowledgement of the fact that sufficient grounds as of this moment, as of the stage of framing of charges, it exists against the accused, which is, a valid justification for the court to proceed further. So charge framing essentially is what? It is the formal framing of the charges. So the court considers and has a look at the, the material which is before it in the form of the charge sheet, and having had a look at it, if the court sees that, there is on the face of it, prima facie, a case which is made out against the accused, then the court draws formal charges against him. So this is not a determination of the accused's guilt or innocence. It is just the first step to starting the trial. And then the truthfulness of these allegations or its falsity, it is ascertained during the trial stage. So after the trial, a judge frames the charges. The accused can plead either being innocent or guilty. Also, please ignore this heading. This is from the previous article. This is not related to this article. So after the trial judge frames the charges, then the accused can either plead and say that, I am guilty, or he can say I plead innocent and I want a trial. So if the accused pleads innocent, then the next step, it is the summoning of the witnesses for the entire process of examination in chief, then cross, by the defense lawyers. After the witnesses are examined, then both the sides, they present their argument. So upon the completion of the arguments, the judge may reserve a judgment. Now, if the judge decides to convict the accused, then the court will also pronounce the sentence. Now let's see what is the nature of offenses which are which are leveled against this person. So first is sections 354 and 354A of the IPC and section 354D of the IPC. These offenses, which were stated to be rightfully stated against him in the charge sheet, these offenses, they are often classified as offenses against women. If we talk particularly about section 354, which is outraging the modesty of a woman, it states that whoever assaults or whoever uses criminal force against the woman with what intention or what mens rea, intending to outrage or knowing it is to be likely that the woman's modesty would be outraged. So that means this person has committed this offense of section 354. This offense is punishable with a term of imprisonment between 1 to 5 years and or with a fine. Now, the phrase outraging the modesty of a woman, it is not defined in the IPC, but we do have certain case laws which have thrown light on what does it mean when we say outraging the modesty of the woman. So one such case law is the case of State of Punjab versus Major Singh. This is a 1996 Supreme Court verdict, wherein the Supreme Court held that the essence of a woman's modesty, it is her sex. The modesty of an adult female, it is writ large on her body. Young or old, intelligent or imbecile, awake or sleeping, the woman possesses a modesty which is capable of being outraged. Now, if we have a look at section 354A, it deals with sexual harassment, which is defined by any of these 4 acts. The definition of sexual harassment, be it in the IPC or in the POSH Act, which is specifically dedicated to sexual harassment at workplaces, it is very huge. The ambit of this definition, it's very large. So first is physical contact and advances involving unwelcome and explicit sexual overtures. Then second is the type of act which we can say that it is sexual harassment is a demand or request for sexual favors. Thirdly, showing pornography against the will of a woman. And fourthly, making sexually colored remarks towards or in presence of the woman. The first, second, and third of these categories of sexual harassment, it is treated more severely and it carries a punishment of up to 3 years in prison and also a mandatory fine. The fourth act, which is when you make sexually colored remarks, it is punishable up to 1 year of imprisonment and a fine. The trial judge is also seen fit to frame charge of criminal intimidation against Bhushan, which is defined under section 503 of the IPC. So, section 503 IPC, it states that anyone who threatens another person with an injury to his person, injury to his reputation, to his property, with intention to cause alarm to that person or to cause that person to do an act which this person is not legally bound to do, or to omit to do an act which he is legally entitled to do, is guilty of criminal intimidation. So if you're threatening somebody that, if you do not do so and so thing that I want you to do, then these are going to be the repercussions. What are the repercussions? I'm going to injure your person. I'm going to injure your reputation or your property. And the person is saying all of this to cause an alarm in the mind of this person. He wants this person to be afraid. And as a result, he wants this person to do something which he is otherwise not, he's not otherwise under a duty to do, or to abstain from doing something which is entitled legally to do. So that is criminal intimidation. Section 506, it laid down the punishment for criminal intimidation. So as far as the punishment for that is concerned, it is up to 2 years imprisonment, and it can extend to up to 7 years if the person threatens to cause death, grievous hurt, destruction of property by fire, or impute unchastity to a woman, or commit an offense which is punishable for death, imprisonment for life, or up to 7 years of imprisonment. So the punishment that can be given for criminal intimidation, it also varies according to the kind of criminal intimidation that you've given to the person. And with this, we come to the segment of national news for today. And this is the first update here. Honorable the Chief Justice of India, Dr. Deby Chandrachud, he has been invited to attend J20. What is J20? It is a summit of heads of Supreme Courts and constitutional courts of all the G20 members. The J20 summit, it is being organized by the Brazilian Federal Supreme Court in light of Brazil's presidency for G20 for the year 2024. So this is a very, very important update. Please make note of it. India, it contributes nearly $5 lakh to UN Counter-Terrorism Trust Fund. India contributes $5 lakh to UN Counter-Terrorism Trust Fund. Ambassador Ruchira Kambuj, she is India's permanent representative to the UN. She delivers the contribution to the Under Secretary General Vladimir Voronkov. Nisha Dahiya, she reaches final, secures Paris berth. This is a very, very important update. Please make a note of it. Wrestler Nisha Dahiya, she has won the 5th Paris Olympic quota for India in women's wrestling after reaching the final of 68 kgs at the World Olympic qualifiers. This is, please note, India's 5th quota in the wrestling category for Paris Olympics 2024. And all have all these quotas that we've secured, it is through women wrestlers. So the others on board is we have Antim Pangal, then we have Vinesh Fogart, Anshu Malik, and Ritika Huda. These are the other Indians who have won Olympic quotas so far. India plans to hold 7th edition of Exercise Shakti from 13th to 26th of May. From today to 26th of May. India and France, they plan to conduct the 7th edition of joint military exercise called Shakti. It is, the venue of it is Meghalaya, and this is to bolster their strong defense ties. Vice Admiral Sanjay Bhalla, he assumes charge as the Chief of Personnel. Vice Admiral Sanjay Bhalla, he assumes the charge as the Chief of Personnel of the Indian Navy. He has held a number of specialist staff and operational appointments, both afloat and ashore. This is another important update. Padma Shri recipient Surjit Patar, he passes away. Surjit Patar, he is a renowned Punjabi poet and Padma Shri recipient. He passed away at the age of 79. He held esteemed positions serving as the President of Punjab Arts Council, Chandigarh, and previously as the President of Punjabi Sahit Academy. Theatre luminary Pran Sabharwal, he receives Padma Shri. The President of India, Draupadi Murmu, she has conferred the Padma Shri Award upon Pran Sabharwal, a social theatre activist and director of the Patiala-based National Theatre Arts Society. This is another important update. Scientists, they've unveiled the world's deepest blue hole in Mexico. Tamja blue hole, discovered as the Earth's deepest point. Let's have a look at some of the pointers with respect to this update, which may feature in your exam. So, for instance, what is the location of it? So, it is found in Mexico's Chetumal Bay. What is the depth at which it is located? So, it is 1,380 feet. It surpasses the previous record holder, which is what? It was Shansha Yongle Blue Hole. Offers scientific exploration and potential discovery of new marine life. Now we proceed to the international segment for today. First update is from Chad. Chad's military dictator, he wins the presidential election there. Mohammed Idriss Deby Itno, Chad's military dictator, and interim president, he has secured victory in the presidential election. This provisional result, which was announced by the National Election Management Agency, it is poised to extend Deby's rule for another 6 years. Next up is an update from Russia. The president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, he reappoints Mikhail Mishustin as the prime minister. The Russian president has reappointed Mikhail Mishustin as the prime minister for the lower house approval. This has now brought us to the legal segment for today, where we just have one update from the Honorable Supreme Court. So this is with respect to CPC. Omission to separately frame issues, it is not fatal if the appellate court, it has otherwise dealt with the issue, which has not been separately framed. So the Supreme Court has held that an omission to frame points of determination by the first appellate court, as per Order 41, Rule 31 of the CPC, it would not prove fatal as long as that first appellate court dealt with all the issues that arise for deliberation in that said appeal. The court further observed that, thus, even if the first appellate court does not separately frame the points for determination arising in the first appeal, it would not prove fatal as long as that court deals with all the issues that actually arise for deliberation in the said appeal. Substantial compliance with the mandate of Order 41, Rule 31 CPC, in that regard, it is sufficient. Order 41 CPC, please note, it deals with appeals from original decrees, wherein Rule 31, it lays down that judgments of the first appellate court shall be in writing, and it shall state the following pointers: the point for determination, the decision thereon, the reason for the decision, and where the decree appealed from is reversed or varied, then the relief to which the appellant is entitled. The name of this particular case is Murugendra Indravadan Mehta and others versus Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation. So this has brought us to an end of our TNA. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day ahead.